Today, we're taking a really deep dive into one of modern history's most baffling and honestly frustrating disappearances. We're talking about a mystery that completely defies our modern world. I mean, in an age where surveillance is literally everywhere, how does someone just cease to exist? Grab your focus because we're going to unravel the chilling true story of Kyle Fleischmann.
All right, let's set the scene. Picture this. It's May 6th, 2004, right in uptown Charlotte, North Carolina. It's a popular, bustling entertainment district, and it's just after midnight. A 24-year-old guy leaves a crowded bar. He's walking down the street, and city surveillance cameras are tracking him perfectly, frame by frame. It's an entirely ordinary night out that's about to turn into a 20-year nightmare.
And this brings us to the impossible premise of this entire explainer. How does a 24-year-old man vanish completely between city camera frames? Remember, we aren't talking about some dense, isolated forest here. We're talking about a heavily monitored urban surveillance grid. Investigators know almost exactly where he was, minute by minute, right up until the precise second he disappeared from every recording device in the area.
Okay, let's dive right into part one, an ordinary night out. To really understand why this is so incredibly baffling, we first need to know who we're looking for. Kyle Fleischmann was just 24 years old, working as a credit analyst right there in Charlotte. By all accounts, he was deeply reliable. He was financially responsible. His friends and coworkers noted he had absolutely no history of impulsive behavior or unexplained absences. So a sudden, planned disappearance? That was entirely out of character for Kyle. Let's trace his final known steps. On May 5th, Kyle was just bar hopping with friends in Uptown. Typical night, right? It spills into the early hours of May 6th. Sometime after midnight, Kyle leaves his final stop, the Thirsty Beaver Saloon, completely alone. Minutes later, his cell phone records show he tried to call a cab company, but the call just didn't connect. From there, investigators tracked him on downtown cameras, walking north for several blocks. He's steady, calm, and captured on tape. Investigators have this precise breadcrumb trail right up to a very specific point.
Which leads us to part two, where the cameras go dark.
At a specific intersection, near where he was believed to be heading, every single camera that should have captured him next, well, they simply record nothing. He walked out of the range of the last confirmed camera, and beyond that point, despite uptown Charlotte having a massive network of surveillance covering the streets, the parking areas, the businesses, no further footage of Kyle exists. He stepped out of frame and literally never stepped back in.
Moving on to part three, the massive citywide search. When Kyle didn't show up for work, obvious panic set in. What followed was one of the most massive, frantic searches in Charlotte's history. Local police and private investigators were working around the clock. Cadaver dogs scoured the entire uptown district. You had armies of volunteers checking dumpsters and combing through nearby buildings. An intense, focused scrutiny was placed on one specific parking deck near his last known route as searchers desperately looked for any sign of him. But despite all that manpower, despite the dogs, the police, the volunteers, and the private investigators, zero, absolutely zero physical evidence was ever recovered anywhere in the search area. No clothing, no phone, nothing at all. It was honestly as if he had just evaporated into the Charlotte air. Let's put on our detective hats for part four. 3 competing theories.
Theory 1 is a tragic accident. This suggests Kyle might have wandered into an unsearched area and suffered a fall or some sort of medical event. The timing of his disappearance aligns perfectly with him being right near that specific parking deck we just mentioned. Now, what's really interesting about this is that parking deck was demolished years later. So if the answer was hidden in that concrete, it's gone forever, permanently preventing this theory from ever being confirmed.
Theory 2 is foul play. This theory suggests Kyle encountered someone dangerous during that highly specific gap in the camera network. While there's no physical forensic evidence, Kyle's family strongly believes in this theory. Why? Because of the complete dead stop of his digital life. At the exact moment he vanished from the cameras, all activity on his phone just ceased. His bank accounts went completely dead. For someone as responsible as Kyle, this abrupt total silence points heavily towards something deliberate. Theory 3 is voluntary disappearance. Basically the idea that Kyle chose to just leave his life behind and walk away unseen. However, investigators give this theory very limited weight, and his friends and family completely reject it. Think back to his profile from earlier. He had a stable job, incredibly close family relationships, and absolutely no prior indication he wanted to escape his life. Given the totality of circumstances, voluntarily walking away just doesn't fit the facts of who Kyle was at all.
Which brings us to today in Part 5, a 20-year mystery. None of the theories fully explain the total absence of evidence. So the crucial point here is that we're looking at a 20-year mystery. The Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department has kept this case open for over 2 decades. Still, no arrests, no suspects, no confirmed remains ever recovered. Kyle's family refuses to give up, though, and they continue to fund independent efforts. It's crazy because we live in a world surrounded by technology, but all the cameras in the world still left us with absolutely nothing when it mattered most.
A young man walked down a monitored city street, and somewhere along that route, every trace of his existence just stopped. So what do you guys think happened to Kyle in that gap between the cameras? Was it a tragic accident, hidden in demolished concrete, or something a whole lot more sinister? Share your own theories in the comments below. And if this explainer captivated you, make sure to follow along for more deep dives into the unknown. Keep questioning the narrative, and I'll see you next time.